Welcome back to your weekly dose of encouragement and the final episode of 2025. I cannot believe that we are already here standing on the edge of another year right in front of us. It has been so full of unexpected moments, prayers, lessons, and grace that has carried us all through this year into another one. I hope that you all had a wonderful Christmas filled with so many meaningful moments and family, laughter, and one of my favorite things about Christmas is the reminder that we have hope. We have hope because God robed himself in flesh and was born and walked among earth. And I am so grateful that he did. My prayer is that you have felt his peace and his presence in a fresh and a new way as this year comes to a close and release the pressure of having everything figured out and having to have everything perfect. Instead, reflect on the faithfulness of God. He has been right there with all of us in the middle of every single part of our lives, in the middle of the joy, the stretching, the waiting, and even the unanswered prayers. He is still there in the middle of it. This season is not just about rushing all around, rushing to the next thing. It's also about pausing and noticing what God has done and what He has been doing through each and every one of us. As we spend these last few days reflecting and getting ready for a new year, preparing our hearts to trust, to have renewed hope, and a fresh surrender to whatever God has ahead. I am so grateful that you are here, that you have spent this year with me here on the Unashamedly You podcast. Let's close out this year with intention, gratitude, and expectancy that something great is coming. It's on the horizon for 2026. Hello, and welcome to the Unashamedly You podcast, a space to enlighten, encourage, and empower you to go out and unashamedly be who God is calling you to be. I am your host, Jamie Herndon. I pray you hear less of me and more of Him as you listen to today's episode. Let's grow together. We are in for such a treat today as we wrap up the 2025 year. I cannot believe that this is the very last podcast of the year, and we are doing it with a special guest. She has an encouraging testimony to share with all of us. This is a lady who always has a bright smile for everyone she meets. She knows how to have fun, and she truly loves people. It is very evident in everything that she does. And it's just an honor to have her with us today. Frankie Rowley, welcome to the Unashamedly You podcast. I am so excited to have you here. If you'll just take a moment, introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Okay, I'm Frankie Rowley from Laurel, Mississippi. Me and my husband pastor the Rock Church in Laurel. And I'm excited to be here. I've heard several of your podcasts, listened to them often, and I'm excited and nervous.
Well, you're going to do amazing. I'm so excited to have you on. Your testimony was recently read at our church, and it was such a blessing to me. I loved hearing it. And so, as soon as I was hearing that testimony, I thought, we have got to have her on here to share the full story on the podcast. So, if you'll just start off by telling us some of your testimony that was shared, and then we'll go in from there.
Okay, so in 2020, I was visiting a lady, a friend of mine, on Laurel Road. It's like an eighth of a mile from our church. And we were standing in her front yard, and I saw this piece of property across the street. And I said, I would love to have that property right there. We'd been talking for a few years about moving closer to the church and not nothing serious, just, just in speaking about it. Anyway, I saw that property and I was like, I want that so bad. And she said, honey, they will never sell that property. It's been in this family for years. We've tried to buy it. They will never sell. So that kind of bursted my bubble a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I know a God that can do anything. So, at that time, I started praying, not every day, but I started praying here and there. God, I would love to have that property, if it can work out, this kind of thing. Well, time went on, and about in 20, well, we went to the Little Rock Church, and I heard those testimonies from all of those people about this 52-day fast. So that's what really got me stirred up. And I was like, you know what? I can get that property. I'm going to do this fast. And so I did my first one in 24, or maybe the end of 23. Anyway, I did that fast, and I had wrote down on my calendar that I was fasting for that land and for a member of my family also that I want to get saved. And so time went on. Nothing happened. Well, in my third 52-day fast for this land, we don't never understand God, but He understands everything. So I was fasting and praying. This was in March when I started this third fast. On April the 6th at 4:45 on Sunday morning, a tornado was coming. It actually hit at 4:45. So we were awake a little before that. Our phones started going off, and it's been a kind of a funny thing with me and my husband we've been married 45 years. And I always tell him if it's bad weather or something, I'm like, now you stay awake and watch over me while I sleep and let me know if I need to get up. So, this, on this particular morning, our phones were going off with the weather alert and stuff. And I just like reached over there and touched mine, turned it off, laid my head back down. And in just a few minutes, he was standing beside the bed with clothes on, and he's like, get up, we got to go." And so I'm like, "Where are we going?" He said, "We have to leave. A tornado is coming." And so I'm one of those old fashioned kind. I had my robe laying at the foot of the bed. I grab it on, and I put on some Crocs, and we run out to his truck. And we get in the truck, and another part of the story is that my daughter was there in a mobile home. My granddaughter was there. My granddaughter came in, got in the truck with us, but my daughter didn't get out in time. We tried to wait for her, but we saw it coming, so we had to leave. So my husband took off. We got on the road, and at the bottom of the hill, kind of in a valley right there, a tree fell right in front of us on the road. So my husband puts the truck as four-wheel drive. He puts it in reverse. A tree had fell behind us. And so he says, "I guess this is where God wants us. We're going to sit right here." So we did. The tornado actually went across the road over us right there where we sat. And we could see, I think my husband said it was like 40 feet or so in the woods right there from us. And it just cleared out a spot. And then it picked back up and it went on across the highway. Well, as it died down, he got the truck turned sideways, and we went up the embankment, which goes up in the field in front of the house. So we went up that embankment, and it's still dark. And when we get there, I see our big white columns are like laying in the yard everywhere. And I'm like, oh no, the porch is going to be down for sure. And my husband said, "I believe the roof is gone." Well, of course, we didn't stop there. We drove straight around to my daughter's mobile home to see if she was okay. It had two roofs on it. It had ripped the roof off, ripped the porches off. Um, our motor home that sat right there in the driveway beside her mobile home, it had shoved it against the end of her mobile home. I really believe that that's one thing too that helped to save that, because I mean, it could have been a lot worse. But she was okay. So he turns the truck around and he goes to the back of the house right there, and he shines the lights. And that's when we saw my home was completely on the ground. And all I could think about at that moment was, we've lost everything, all the memories, everything. But we were all safe, and I was so thankful. At that moment, I was not thinking about my fasting and praying. I was just thinking about the loss. Well, um, our bedroom, thank the Lord, our bedroom were it was downstairs. And so at this time of the morning, it's crazy, but like my church people were there. I don't remember them not being there. It was like just all of a sudden there was lots of people there. So my son was there first and he said, "Mom, I can go with you inside to go get some clothes." Because, I wanted to change my clothes. So we went inside and he helped me get clothes. But when my church people got there, immediately they went to my bedroom and they started grabbing mine and my husband's clothes because it was leaking in there, but our clothes were not damaged yet. So they started putting them in totes that someone from the church had brought. I didn't have anything like this. So somebody brought those and they started putting all of our clothes in there and helping us. They brought trailers. They were helping us get the things that we could get that was not completely damaged. So we were able to save our clothes. Um, my winter clothes were in the closet upstairs, so they were all gone across the road somewhere. Um, but I did have a lot of my stuff. So I was thankful for that. Later, I got to thinking and I was like, this is God's way. Because I told my husband, I said, "Babe, me and God both knew that you was not ready to leave." He's like, "It's okay. It was a 30-minute drive to church." My kids had already moved to Laurel. We are here at the church every day. And so I'm like, this is my life. I need to be closer. I don't need to live in Stringer. So that land had actually been listed for sale with a realtor, the land that I wanted. And my heart kind of sank when I first saw it because I'm like, there's no way we could sell our house fast enough to buy it, all this kind of stuff. Well, lo and behold, nobody bought it. So it was 11 days after this tornado hit us that my husband and my son drove over to the property. And while they were there, a man came up in a little car and asked, could he help them? And my husband said, possibly. He said, do you know who owns this property? And the man said, I do. I'm the owner. So my husband said, okay, we've been looking at this property for a little while and we would love to buy it. And so the man said, well, the realtor that had it listed came and got his sign yesterday. So we're out of that contract. And my husband's like, okay. So he made him an offer. And the man said, yeah, we can do that. So it was just amazing. We found out later that him and his wife had got a divorce. He needed the money to pay her part. So God was working through all of this. I totally believe he was just orchestrating everything, getting it all ready and lined up. And so we went that afternoon to the bank and we got him to sign papers that we were buying the house. We couldn't even give him the money yet, but we did get the papers signed. And so the next day we got the money and purchased the property. And now we're building a home there. And I'm so excited.
God is so good. I think, like you said, at the moment, whenever all this is happening, and you were also, I want to point out, you were on your third 52-day fast.
Yes.
So maybe speak to someone really quickly about how that sometimes you do that first 52-day fast and everything doesn't align with art. It's still God's timing, God's ways. It's still all in God's hands. We can fast and we can pray and we should be doing our part, but we have to also understand it's His timing.
That's exactly right. Um, it would be easy to get discouraged. Um, I had rode around looking at land, looking at property, just days. My poor mother-in-law, she rode around with me, just looking. We never found anything. So through the first 52-day fast, nothing happened. The second one, nothing happened. But I never lost that faith. I was like, I've got to trust God because my timing is not his timing. Sometimes God says no, and sometimes God says, not right now. It's not the good time. So he knows when the best time is, and he really knows if we need what we're asking for, if we don't need it. So we have to trust him to say, God, this is your decision. And I believe that if we delight ourselves in him, he gives us the desires of our heart. So if we are totally sold out, we're fasting, we're praying, and we're like, God, this is my desire. And he cares and he knows about that. And he's like, okay, so April, I'm going to let you have this. And so in my third 52-day fast, it was not over yet. I think I was on day 22, maybe. And that's when all of this started unfolding. And I was like, look at God. He did it.
And you could have said, I'm in my third 52-day fast and my house is destroyed.
Yeah, I could have. I could have. But I was thinking, like I said, I was like, okay, Gary, God seen that you wasn't ready to move yet. So he just kind of gave you a nudge. He said, you need to watch how you pray. I said, no, I didn't pray for a tornado. But God knew that that's what needed to happen for all of this to unfold. And we did not get one scratch on us. He saved us. We were perfect. We were fine. And so the house was destroyed. The insurance had to buy that. And then we still had the land that we could sell. So there you go. God knows exactly what we need.
We just have to learn how to trust him. So looking back at this, I love this testimony because there's so many parts to it that God was just orchestrating and working out. I mean, the fact that you guys were safe, that you got out, that is a power-packed miracle
It
all
is.
woven into this story. But looking back, what lessons would you say that God taught you through those seasons of delay? There were seasons of disappointment. I know losing your things. We had a house fire whenever I was 16 years old. And at first, my mind, I was only 16. I couldn't really wrap around exactly what was going on, what was happening. And then whenever you see your things and you go to sometimes to even reach for stuff, I've said before, like this favorite outfit that you always wear and it's like your go-to. What if you didn't have
Yes.
that? You just don't have that to go to. And it's like, oh goodness, like that fire took that. I didn't even realize that that was going to something
Right.
that would trigger that emotion, of, oh no, that's missing. So I know that there was some disappointment in that and some unmet expectations, but what lessons would you say that God was teaching you in the midst of all of this?
I believe that he's definitely taught me that his timing and my timing are not the same. He's got his own time. And through all the disappointments, we must stand strong and we must know that he's working, even when we don't see it. I love that song, that he's working. And that has helped to carry me through a lot of this because there is disappointments. Things just don't happen as soon as we think they should. But I just to sum it up, trust and pray. Just trust God.
And that's so much easier said than done. But when you add it in with what you said, like pray. Whenever you
Yes.
start praying, I'm like, whenever I leave that prayer meeting, I am so encouraged. The Bible talks about encouraging yourselves in the Lord.
Hmm.
You leave so encouraged. But whenever you're just trying to do this 52-day fast, I would encourage you with what she said on you got to trust God, trust his timing, but you're not going to trust it as easily and you're not going to be as happy with his timing if you're not praying.
That's true. It's like, so a lot of people don't know about the 52-day fast, what you do. So what I like to say to them is you sacrifice something that you really love. And every time, every day, something you love is something that you do every day. You drink it, you eat it, whatever. So you sacrifice that, and every day you're going to want that. So during that time that you're wanting that you're thinking about that, that's the time that you pray. God, you pray for what you're fasting for. It's focused prayer. I believe in that 52-day fast, you have to focus your prayer on what you are fasting for. that helps too.
I agree completely, and like you said, yes, it is. If you've not heard of it, it is the 52-day fast with Bishop Holmes, and we have those recordings. We have that podcast, and go back and listen to it if you've not listened to it. This testimony will encourage you to do it. It works. But like you said, it's that focused prayer, and it's giving up something that you love and saying, "God, I'm sacrificing this to you for 52 days." Nehemiah had built that wall in 52 days. God can do a lot in those 52 days, but we have to do something to allow him to do that. And I don't know with what you had fasted over your past 3 times. I've done several things. People ask, "What do you fast?" Like you said, you eat it, you drink it. I love Coke Zero. I've done that. I've done all water only, and I don't love water. Fasting sweets and sugar fasting. I've done it with fried foods, fasting all fried foods. And you think, oh, well, that may not be that hard. I don't eat fried that much. Well, you go to Cane's and you go to
Yes.
Chick-fil-A.
Where everything is fried.
I know, and I'm like, going to Chick-fil-A and not getting a french fry is just that's not even right, and so whenever you're doing that but like you said, that focused time saying, "God, I'm giving this to you. I'm sacrificing this for you to do your work."
That's right.
We are closing out this year, which seems so wild. I feel like that 2025 has been just a blur. It's so much has
Yes.
went so fast,
Yes.
but some of us are needing to leave some things behind, and I know that with that tornado that you have had to learn how to do that, but, there's other things that we have to release, like maybe some old wounds, some regrets, some frustrations to make sure that we're not carrying them into this next season. It's time that you can leave those behind in this year.
Mhm. That's absolutely right. Um, I feel like that, it's the thing choosing to be happy. You know, I wake up some days and I'm sad and feeling depressed and low, but then I'm like, you know what? I've got God, I've got health, I've got strength. And it's that trust factor again. You've got to trust him and believe him that he's going to see you through everything and take care of you. I believe closing out the year that you should go lay across the altar and say, God, I'm just giving it all to you. All the hurt, all the frustrations, everything that you are facing, and just be an overcomer. Be strong because He knows what's coming, He knows what we need, and He's going to carry us through all of this.
I love that you said it's really just a choice. You
It is.
choose to lay across that altar. I love that. Laying it all down, and whenever you get up, choosing to be a different person.
Right.
That
Yes.
I'm not getting up with this. I'm going to be an overcomer. Maybe talk to someone that is wanting to find peace in this season. You're going into that new year and hold on to hope that when the year, it may not have turned out as you expected, but God's promises, they may feel delayed, but they are not always denied.
That's right. He said, come to me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11 and 28. And I believe that that's exactly what we do. We come to Him, we give it to Him. When we lay this down, don't pick it back up. Lay it down and leave it. Your load is lightened. And He just, after you give it to Him, then you just trust Him. And He's going to see you through. He'll give you that peace that passes all understanding. He gives you the peace.
He does. Like you said, whenever you go through some things, you can choose to have joy in them, even whenever that's whenever I feel like that real peace comes in, is whenever it passes all understanding. People are like, "She shouldn't have
Mhm.
joy. She shouldn't be full of faith right now. Look at all the things that are going wrong or the things that are going on," and instead saying, "You know what, God, you're still working. You're still moving."
That's right.
What are some ways that we can make sure that we are aligning our goals, these new goals and new plans as we go into this new year with God's will and his timing instead of ours?
I think that we should be sure that we're walking with Him daily. We're telling Him what our desires are, but we're also saying, God, your will be done. We need to pray for His perfect will every day. I pray that every day. And I also go through life and I'm like, because I guess we have a Celebrate Recovery here. And so I kind of lean into that a lot of those people hurting and stuff. So it's made me more aware whenever I'm beside somebody and say they're angry, if they're waiting in line somewhere and they're frustrated and they're angry and they're just mumbling and complaining. I I don't judge them with that. I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what they're going through today. I don't know what they're facing today. We always need to act on the side of mercy and grace and consider other people's feelings and pray for them. Be there for them. If you can say something to them to just encourage them a little bit, that life is not all about hurrying, and we need to take time to be considerate of others and to pray for them and to consider what they're going through and hopefully be able to say something to give them hope.
It is so easy to get in a rush about our day. Sometimes you'll be checking out and you can tell that the person checking you out, they are not in a good mood. That is not
Right,
really what they wanted to be doing that day.
right,
And you're in a hurry too, and, I may be frustrated, especially if I have all 3 of my kids and they're
right.
be crazy going through this door too. And you're in the
Yep,
middle of checking out, and then they're short with you or they're just, slinging stuff around, and so that can just cause more frustration. Like you said, if we'll just stop and take some time and realize there's more going on in their lives. This is
right.
something that we may could be showing the love of Jesus to at this very moment when we
That's
feel
right.
that frustration and turn it around. But we have to take time to do that. We have to be aware.
That's right. Yes, we do.
Everything that you have said has been such an encouragement from the testimony. Like I said, there were so many miracles packed in that testimony that you shared and that you gave with all of us. And even on encouraging people that, hey, you may have done some 52-day fast this whole year and your plans and God's plans, it did not align. He did not work it out at this exact moment, but it does not mean that he's not working. It does not mean that he is not going to come through. We can trust the Lord. And that is one thing I love about the testimony that you have shared is that you can trust God. It may not be your timing, it may not be what you're looking for, but we can know that in the background, he is working all things for our good and he knows our desires. I love that you shared that. It's been such an encouragement. But what is one last thing that you would want to leave with all of us in the Unashamedly You community today?
To sum it up, I think I would say pray fast, trust in God with everything, because you must believe that He can do the impossible. You're His child. He knows, He cares, He understands, and He wants what's best for you.
He does. I'm so thankful that he does know our desires and he cares. I think about Sister Alice, Sister Betty Alice that goes to church here. Her prayer, she was my principal for many years, but a prayer that she always prayed is she would say, God, you care, you really care.
Yes,
I think about that so often, and I'll pray that myself. I'll say, God, this is something that may seem like no one cares or no one knows, but God, you care. You really
that's
do
right.
care.
That's right.
Thank you for sharing your heart with all of us today. What an incredible way to end the 2025 year of podcasting with this amazing testimony. Thank you for sharing your heart with us today. We were honored to have you on.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
As we wrap up the final episode of this year, I just want to thank every single one of you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this community, for listening, for sharing, for reflecting, and for showing up week after week. This podcast would not be what it is without you. As you step into the days ahead, my prayer is that peace would cover you and go with you, the kind that is not dependent on your circumstances, but it is rooted in knowing that God is going before you. I pray you enter this new year with clarity, courage, confidence that you are held, loved, and guided every single step of the way. Whatever 2026 brings, you do not have to rush it. God is not late. He is intentional and He is faithful. Thank you for walking through this year with me. I'm excited for what is ahead, and I will meet you right back here on the Unashamedly You podcast in 2026. Go be unashamedly you.